Okay, so we're going to go through the new lead entry training today. We will go through all of the areas that are, required throughout the new lead entry process. Have you ever entered in a new lead before?
Yeah, I did a little bit, just kind of mess around with it to get familiar with it,
Okay.
but not in depth.
Okay, perfect. Well, then today we'll just go through all of it from top to bottom. If you have any questions as we're going through it, just please feel free to stop me at any time.
Okay.
From your home screen, when you log into Restoration Manager, there are two ways that you can get to the new lead entry page. You can go by clicking on the blue house that you see in your navigation panel. You can also open up the Jobs tab and you can click on Add New Lead. So both ways are going to take you to your new lead entry page. I'm going to go through just, of course, a test scenario here. I'm going to say that we're going to enter in a homeowner loss, and we'll say that they have hail damage. Okay, so we'll go from top to bottom again. There are areas that you can see, I'm sure you noticed when you entered in your lead before, that there are areas that are outlined in blue. These areas are required fields. So you do have to populate them with something in order to save the loss. If you get down to the bottom of the page and you click on save and for some reason you forgot to enter in one of the blue fields, the system will actually stop you and tell you, hey, you forgot to enter in this information. Once you've entered in all the information, you click on save, then it's going to go ahead forward and create the new lead. So the system will pick up if you're missing. Okay, of course, the first areas that we're going to enter in are going to be the first and last name. Okay, the very next thing I want to look at right here is to my right where it shows billing job contact. 9 times out of 10 when you're doing a homeowner loss, the primary contact, which is the information that you're entering in right here, this person is going to be considered your primary contact. 9 times out of 10 on a homeowner loss, your owner or the primary contact will also be your billing job contact. If for some reason the primary contact is not in charge of the insurance portion of it as far as the money, then you'll want to simply just uncheck that box, come down here to secondary, click on billing contact, and then type in their information. This is very important to know and to identify who your billing contact is, especially for your accounting department. If you have a specific department that does, the accounting portion, this is going to let them know who they need to contact for insurance purposes. So I'm going to make sure, I'm just going to click on billing job contact for Mary. My next area is going to be to choose the title. Of course, it's not mandatory, but if you want to type in the title of who Mary is, that is, of course, always helpful. It lets your people know, who this person is in relation to the lost site. So I'm going to go ahead and just say that Mary is the owner. I'm then going to type in my address. There are 2 separate fields for the address, both of which are mandatory. Your first area is for the number of the address. Okay, so then the second area is for the actual street name. Okay, so we'll type in, oops, we'll type in our street name. We have building and unit. So you have 2 fields for building and unit number. If you are doing an apartment complex, or if you're doing like a senior citizen living community or whatever the case might be, you have that area optional for you. Then of course we do have our city, state, and zip, which are mandatory, of course. If I could type today, that would be wonderful. Okay. Then we're going to move down to phone numbers. Of course, we want to make sure that we are recording a phone number for this person so that we can contact them. We want to make sure that we are opening up the drop down and choosing the phone type. So what type of phone am I calling when I do call this number? Well, let's say that this is Mary's cell phone number. Maybe. There we go. Okay, well, let's say that Mary also gave me her work number. Well, if I need to record more than one phone number, I'm going to click on more phones, and it's going to open up 4 more areas for me to record another phone number. Okay, so I'm going to say that I also got her work number, which I always like to recommend when I'm going through the training that you do try to record at least 2 phone numbers, just because it is always helpful if for some reason you can't get a hold of them on one, you have the other as an option. All right, then we're looking at our job name. It shows right here auto-generated. Your job name is going to default, as you see here, to the primary contact's first and last name. So at this point, my job name is going to be Mary Smith. But I have the option to click on custom job name, and I can make the job name whatever I want it to be. Okay, let's say I want to name it Mary Smith, and then I want to type in what kind of job we're doing. CON for construction, or you can do RCN for reconstruction, or whatever you want to do. If you want to type in the name, kind of job you're doing, you can. If you just want to keep it as Mary Smith, we can do that too. That's what I'm going to do for purposes here, but you do have the option to change if you wish. Your ID number it will always be auto-generated. Your back office has already been set up by your owners or admins, whoever it was, and they set up your ID number, so it's automatically going to generate per that format. Okay, you do have an area for year built. It's not mandatory. It is important. We do have it here specifically for older properties that could have the possibility of asbestos and mold. That's, just for the safety and health of your estimators or project managers, whoever's going to be entering in the property. If they don't have that information, honestly, it's not a big deal. But it is there for you. If you, have that information, you can record it. All right, then we have the option for office selection. This is mandatory. Whatever office you select, if you happen to have numerous offices. If you only have one, then it's automatically, just as you can see here, it's automatically just going to choose that one office. If you do have more than one, whichever office you choose, that office is going to be the one that's going to contain this job. So you want to make sure you're choosing the right office, again, if you have multiple offices. We then want to choose our job type. Our job type is very important, especially if your company uses the integration between QuickBooks and Restoration Manager. Your job type is mandatory. It doesn't show as mandatory in the field because just to do it in Restoration Manager, you do not have to have it. But if you want that sync with QuickBooks, you do. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're choosing residential or commercial or whatever option you have chosen, for job type. We then have an area for email. Email, of course, is very important because if you can't get hold of them on the phone, you want to have an email address. The system does pick up on incorrect email address, okay? So if you have typed in the email address incorrectly in any way, the system will pick up on it, okay? It does recognize actual valid email addresses. It'll tell you right underneath, just as you see here in red, it will show you down here in red that the email address is invalid. All right, then again, we do have an area for secondary contact. Even if it is not billing contact, let's say it's just a site contact, or perhaps Mary gave us her husband's information and we're gonna put her husband's name here as well. That's basically what the secondary information is for. All right, there's this little area right here that you see, it says loss address. It says use different address from above. If for some reason my lost site address is different than the one that I have recorded here for my primary contact, all I need to do is click on that box and then I'm going to be able to enter in my new address for my actual lost address. Most of the time that's not the case. So you will very rarely ever use this box. You might, but it's there if you need it. Okay, moving on to job notes. Job notes and lost details are the same thing. So I always say when I'm going through training, whatever I type into job notes, I'm going to copy and paste into lost details. Your job notes basically needs to state what happened, what caused the damage, and where is the damage located. Okay, so we're going to say hail damage to the roof, siding, and gutters. Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this into my lost details because it's the same information. I want to make sure that I name, date, and timestamp so that when we come through here, we can see again who entered in the job note. Okay, now I'm going to move back down here to where it shows lost details. I need to choose my lost type. My lost type is required. Basically, this is asking me, as you can see, what happened that caused the damage. Well, this is a hail damage, so I'm going to say we have storm damage. Okay. Now to the left, if you see where it shows dates, your date of loss and your date received are automatically going to populate to the date and time that you entered in your loss. You do have the ability to enter in your date contacted, date site inspected, your end date, and the by field, so who it was that inspected the site. If you have this information when you're entering in the lead, go ahead and enter those dates. This is going to automatically save your new loss. Instead of saving it at the progress level of new lead, it's going to automatically save the progress level as site inspected. Okay, so if you do have this information, by all means, go ahead and enter it in. You're going to have to enter it in anyways. All right, moving down here, we're going to go now to our sources. The required field here that you see that says company is going to be your insurance company. Okay, so what kind of insurance company, do they have? So let's see, we'll choose State Farm. Let's do that. Okay, so the insurance company is State Farm. Well, now what I can do is I'm going to choose my billing contact. Okay, so this is basically choosing the agent or whoever is attached to this specific State Farm office. Okay, so I'm going to choose Jack Johnson. Then if I want to open up contact, if I want to choose Jack Johnson again, basically this is saying that Jack Johnson is both the billing contact, the person I'm going to contact for billing purposes again, and then just a generic contact. I can enter in his name here as well if I wish. I then want to enter in my reported by. So who was it that reported the loss to me? Okay, was it the insurance company? Was it the property owner? Was it a family member? Who was it? Let's say in this case, Mary was the person who actually reported the loss. But her referral source, who referred her to your company, let's say her insurance company did, okay? It could be her insurance agent. If you want to be specific, you do have the option for agent. Okay, we can say her insurance agent referred her. So now again, we're going to go to our referral source. We're going to choose the company again that referred her. So we're going to choose the name. We chose Jack Johnson. So I'm going to choose Jack Johnson as my referral source. He is the actual person who referred her to us. Okay. Again, underneath the agent name, I'm going to choose State Farm for Jack Johnson because I want to type him in as my agent for the case. And then if I have adjusters, if I have an adjuster that's assigned to the case, I can also type that information here. Now I have two additional fields for other purposes. Okay, let's say you have a mortgage company that you want to enter in, or a TPA, which is also considered a preferred program. Perhaps you want to type in a property management group. Whatever the case might be, you have two additional fields that you can type that information in. We then have additional fields such as claim number. So this is all your claim information, deductible, policy information, loan number, if there is a mortgage company that's attached, if they have a spare key that's in a lockbox code, or if they have a garage door code, or then any other information that they have given you that has to do with the loss site. Okay. My last area that I'm going to look at is my employee information. My project manager and estimator fields are required. Okay. They will, as you can see, populate with not assigned if there is not a specific employee assigned to that role at that time. If there is, of course, you just want to make sure that we are typing in. You can free type and it's going to bring up the person's name. Okay. But if for some reason, again, you do not have an employee assigned, then you want to make sure that you are populating it with the not assigned option so that you can save the loss. You do have the option to type in the call taker. If you want to type in the accounting department or your department manager, you can do that as well. Okay, at this point, I want to go ahead and just click on save. Again, my system is going to tell me if I got something or if I was able to actually create the new lead. It does take it a second for it to load and create your job detail page. Okay, it's going to pop up and tell me that my new lead was created. You don't have to click on OK because the page is going to automatically refresh and take you to your job detail page, but you can click on OK if you want to. Okay, so now this is my job detail page. All the information that I entered in during my job entry process is now showing up here on my job detail page. Okay, so now I'm ready to go through and work my job as I need to, entering in documents, correspondence, all that kind of additional stuff. Okay. Now, do you have any questions